I'd like to describe him, first and foremost, as a Fijian born in Tonga, especially when Fiji play and win at So, Winston was consecrated as a bishop in 2005 and became Bishop of Polynesia, Senior Bishop of Tikanga Pacifica, Archbishop of New Zealand and Primate of the Anglican Church in Aotearoa, New Zealand and Polynesia in 2010. Sadly, he's now retired, but on his retirement in 2018, he was granted the honorary title of Archbishop Emeritus. He was the 7th of 10 children, and his father was the first Anglican Tongan priest. But Winston isn't just a handsome island boy. He's got a doctorate in sociology from the University of the South Pacific, and his research has combined sociology and theology with a Pacific focus. Impressively for me, he's done an enormous amount of work in support of multi-ethnic education in Fiji. And he's used his leadership to address gender-based violence in communities of Moana, empowering women and youth to have a voice and access to justice. But of great interest to us today, Winston's seen firsthand the impact of climate change in the Pacific Islands region. He's campaigned vigorously for climate change and was present and also singularly influential as the voice of Pacifica at the Paris climate change agreements. His theology of the ocean and Moana leadership is an urgent call to embrace justice and health for the world of creation by navigating new directions in our relationship with one another and with creation. So folks, I give you Archbishop Emeritus Winston. Thank you.
As we do in the Pacific, we have to acknowledge the sacred ground where we stand. I stand here on the invitation of the Diocese of Lincoln. Bishop David, the acting diocesan bishop of Lincoln, Minagavaleo, for the hospitality. And to the Chancellor of the University, Malo Opito, and the chair of this committee that has come out with this excellent workshop, or I call it Talanoa. In my observation, as a person who has been around in the Anglican Communion and over 40 years of functioning in theological education in the World Council of Churches, matters to do with Moana leadership in the United Nations, with a voice from the Pacific working together with Professor Holland. I remain to be corrected. This conference here, or the Talanoa, is the first of its kind, the church and the university agreed to get married because it already happened. There have been faith, church, religion, and so forth called by different universities, but generally with other sections. So my observation is actually placed here so that we can say this is a gift. my gratitude to the young people. You have done a major part of this paper. I now pause to allow all of us to acknowledge we are in the presence of the Almighty God, and whatever name you would place, that is the intention of the pause, to let the Moana pray for us.
And all creation. You create and give life and see that your creation is good. We praise you for your gift of the Moana, which covers most of the surface of your planet Earth. We thank you for the oceans of the world. We thank you for the flowing of the oceans into one another and around the continents and islands. We thank you for the life-giving of the oceans, for the oxygen, food, and resources they continually provide. We thank you that the ocean is home for most species, small and great. We are people of the Moana. Our ancestors navigated by the stars and crossed the waves to find new homes. The voice of waves breaking on the reef speaks of your constancy and your love and your care for creation. May we hear the cries of sea creatures endangered by the selfish greed of humanity. May there be deep listening to the voice of waters rising to and calf land. May ears be open to the groaning caused by refusal to honor creation. May ears be open to suffering caused by a love of power which destroys. We beat a loud drum alerting people around the world to the danger of climate change which threatens nature and human life. We blow a chorus calling for the worship of a life-giving God of immense goodness. Our forebears set out across the ocean. We set out on a venture to protect our home, the planet Earth. Help us to challenge short-sighted greed. Help us to address unjust structures and practices and to change our relationship with creation to one of care. We affirm our guardianship of the precious gift of creation. We have a vision. We have courage. We have your guidance. We have the presence of the risen one, whose power to love is greater than all the power of destruction. Grant that together we may bring peace to our planet Earth, to its many creatures and its many people. We laud you in the name of our God, Creator, Redeemer, and life-giving Spirit. Amen.
we are on the sacred ground of John Hunt, a son of Lincolnshire. He responded to the challenge of the mission and prepared himself to go to Africa. The urgency of the call from the Pacific changed his mind. He got married, and they, John and Hannah, the wife, traveled to Fiji as one of the pioneering missionaries. They came at a time cannibalism was very much alive, and killing each other was very much in the core of the lives of the people in the Pacific. He contributed powerfully for the change of the Paramount of Fiji. And you know, in the Pacific, when the Paramount chief is changed, the Vanua, the people, the community changes. It remains today the majority of our people in Fiji are Methodist. Our new Archbishop, Archbishop Tama, is a son of the Methodist Church. Later became an Anglican. So, to Lincoln, Vinagawale, Frame Tama, Vinagawale, there is something more than just this conference. The past explains where we are, and we stand here to secure the future generation. The one you've just seen is the picture of Uto Niala. In June 2012, I joined the crew of Uto Niala on the last stage of a voyage crossing the vastness of the Pacific Ocean. The Uto Niala was one of a fleet of Drua, traditionally outrigger canoes, which began in Fiji and returned to Fiji after visiting different island states and reaching South America. The fleet of traditional Drua, powered by the wind in the sails, voyaged with a message. The intention was to further awareness of the threat of climate change facing the peoples of the Pacific Ocean and their environment. The intention was to raise awareness that the violence of exploitation and pollution is threatening the life of the Pacific Ocean itself. When I first boarded Uto Niala in Apia, Samoa, the skipper called the remaining crew and those who were joining. He asked two questions. The first was, where are we? He said this to assess our capabilities, where we were as a crew to sail the vast ocean. He divided us into groups. The responsibility of the welfare of the Drua and the crew lay heavily in the function of each group on duty from departure until arrival. The second question, where to from here? We had a destination to achieve, and the destination would be achieved by the crew working together. I have worked in family groups on plantation. I have played rugby straight away and know the value of relying on team members in order to score. I have worked in the church and advocated team ministry. On Uto Niala, the value of teamwork was brought home in an overwhelmingly convincing way. without teamwork, in a very focused and uncompromising way, we would perish in the ocean. The crew and the vessel would be lost without each member, each group, playing their part in calm weather and when the waves were mounting. The adventure on board the Utoniano exposed me to vastness of the ocean which surrounds and sustains us. The crew depended on each other, vulnerable in the vast expanse, at the mercy of the wind and waves. A learning was to discover how energies could be utilized creatively for the purpose of the voyage. The sun, moon, and stars have directions. The ocean brought food. Wind filled the sails and gave power to glide over the waves. The importance of the vital contribution of each crew member was brought home. To reach our destination, it was essential to work together. Voyage on Utoniano reinforced the profound reality that all above in the heavens, beneath in the depths, and around and within are interconnected. Nothing, no one exists apart from togetherness of all. The whole planet Earth, with its place among the stars, is our common home. The experience of the ocean itself. We lived with the ocean, the waves constantly breaking over the decks, the interactions of the crew, and the questions asked on the Utoniano, together with my background as a Pacific Islander, have inspired this paper. I have always conscious of the call of the Moana, the Polynesian word for ocean. I was born by the ocean, I lived by the ocean, swam like a fish, and learned to fish for the family. In my late teens and early 20s, I traveled for days between Tonga and Fiji on boats which link the island groups. The ocean has been part of my life, and when I work in the great seaport of Auckland, in Cambridge, we find only a narrow river. But the occasional seagull reminds me that the ocean is not far away. The ocean reminds us that we are linked across the planet Earth by oceans. This paper celebrates the Moana, the ocean which gives life to the planet Earth, the water which the waters which are far greater than the continents. This paper celebrates the Moana, water of life, which is the theme of this conference. One of the books I read when I first came to Cambridge was Stephen Hawking's book, Brief Answer to Big Questions, for people of Oceania. One of the big questions is where? Where are we? And the question for us this afternoon, as we launch in this conference. I posed the question of the skipper of Utoniano, where are we? We are together on this planet Earth, which is 73% covered with oceans. All who inhabit the planet Earth are people of land and ocean, and primarily ocean. Each community has a part to play in the well-being of this planet, which sustains us all. At this crucial time, the voice of great waters thunders. Together across the planet Earth, there is need to listen to what the Moana, the ocean, are saying in order to share new wisdom and ways forward. A look at the map of the Pacific will indicate just how great the Pacific Ocean is compared to that of islands. This was made clear by the Oceanic expedition at the Royal Academy of Art in London recently. And I thank the young people. What you contributed this morning, we have a taste of what I continue to contribute. The islands have been regarded as providing insignificant and minor voices in the world. But as the prayer started, islanders, beside inhabiting small islands, are people of the vast ocean. The Moana has provided our ancestral home and provides our present home. It shapes our identity and our worldview. The resilience of Pacific Islanders, Archbishop, has been fueled by the ocean, and since our ancestors set out between 4,000 to 5,000 years ago on great voyages across the Pacific, navigating the Moana to discover and settle in new communities, affinity with creation shaped by the ocean is a gift we share with others. As Pacific people, we need to listen to what is happening in our context and experiences. We need to speak out and indeed raise prophetic voices, not simply to address Pacific Island issues, but to address critical issues of survival and well-being in this global village. One of the ways the Moana has been speaking to me at this time, and in which I have developed in waves of thoughts and praise, is that the oceans of the planet, the Atlantic, the Arctic, the Antarctic, the Indian and the Pacific, as they flow into each other and around the planet, speak of our interconnectedness. We are indeed together in this global village, and at this time there is need to deepen our awareness of our common humanity and our belonging together to one another and to the wider creation. The recognition of interconnectedness leads to sharing resources of worldwide communities, the sharing of skills and wisdom and material resources. The oceans are life-giving. They are home to many species, and in the depths there are possible cures yet to be discovered for diseases. The ocean does unexpected and remarkable things. We have just heard of the enormous raft of pumice which has come from an eruption of a volcano in the depth of the ocean of Tonga. The raft of floating pumice carrying tiny creatures and life forms is expected to float to Australia and may give life to the threatened Great Barrier Reef. I speak as one who has lost relatives on the ocean. Bodies of Collins never recovered. I remember when we arrived at the part of the ocean of Niue, when I was on the Utonealo, the skipper said, this part of ocean is one of the roughest in the world. He did not know. I sat there, and 2 of my first cousins stayed home because Niue is where my forebears came from. They returned for Christmas, but never made it. The boat was taken by the storm, and there was no trace. This is common in Oceania. But after hearing the skipper, I looked at the ocean and I saw the waves moving like dynamic force as high as coconuts. I understood that is Moana. I accepted for the first time, and I received the question I always ask in my head, why there was no trace. I accepted that because Moana has its own presence. And perhaps sometimes we misunderstood it because we talk from the land perspective, imagining the ocean to be like what is going on now. The ocean today threatens villages and islands, but also the very existence of some island states by the rising of sea level due to climate change. The ocean threatens, but also warns. The ocean speaks loudly of the danger climate change is bringing to creation and to human beings, and speaks loudly, calling for a change in direction in the way as human beings we exploit the planet, heedless of consequences. And so the second question, where to from here? And that's a good sign too, because you know I should come to the conclusion because of the time. Where are we going? Where is our destination? We are a crew setting out to meet the challenges of the time. This requires focus and passion, and are working together as never before. That explains to me what I was trying to figure out, why this Talanoa is the first of its kind. We need the combined skills of many people, of artists and singers, and engineers and weavers and sailors and economists and scientists and people of faith. We need strong sense of where we are going and why. And at the end, I hope we will be able to create policies. To help Talanoa without policies, just like sailing in the ocean without a proper ula. On board the Utonealo, they did not throw me overboard like Jonah. They made me a part of the crew. I learned new skills. The crew were glad because I did represent faith in the goodness of God who made the awesome waves. There was need for the presence in the crew of a representative of a faith community. Our destination is towards the well-being of this planet Earth and its peoples. From the perspective of the Hebrew scriptures, and we will hear that tomorrow, and the Christian faith, The planet Earth is the gift of a good and gracious God. In the dawn of creation, God was at work bringing the waters into being. Moana, water of life. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was with formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. In Genesis, God calls creation good. Creation is gifted to us to care for, our role as guardians of creation. God has not abandoned the creation God has made. God is at work, continuing the work of creation. God is intimately involved as the coming of Jesus among us reveals. As Jesus taught by and on the Sea of Galilee and calmed its waves and the fears of those first friends. So the risen Jesus speaks today. We are given hope. In the book of Rowan Williams, Christ, the heart of creation, there we can see we cannot talk about Christians as Christian without encounter the person of Jesus and in the power of the Holy Spirit. This undergirds our passion and our commitment to the well-being of the planet and to the people and creatures of this planet. Friends, I pause, because in Tanoa spirit, you cannot just carry on talking without checking with others. I now turn, Jason, how many more minutes? Because I marked the conclusion very clearly, and then I measure between now and the conclusion with the time given, because others here need to play their part. One hand was up means 5, and the other one comes up means 10. I will do it in a navigating way, 8 minutes. Good thing of taking your partner with you, because Sue is in front of me. She will make sure the 8 minutes, because I said it. God has not abandoned the creation, or have done it. There is an awesome mystery about creation of life. Today there is a call to wonder at the mystery and receive the gift of creation with thanksgiving. Children wonder at creation, and we need to learn from them to see afresh the fascinating beauty which is all around us. With the growing perception that the planet Earth is precious gift to each and to every generation, and with the conviction that we all precious gift to each other, we set out with courage towards discovering more of great wonders of creation and towards a planet on which we can all share, and which is not abused by cared for and celebrated as precious gift. Mentioning the children. In February, I was invited to speak on climate change by the Church of England's Mission 4. That's one of them, USPG. And on my way, I saw multitudes of children on the road. I asked the Tim, why there are so many children? They were on the street to demonstrate when we talk about climate change, what is there for them. And on my way to speak on climate change to the church, 90% of those who were there with white hairs like me. And then you see the comparison. The same event happened on the importance of this. Multitudes full of life, full of dynamic, excited, look powerful and look happy. And one was formal, good for knowledge, but there was a gap. So I asked to be stopped and I went in. And to my joy, it was on the park where Winston's statue is. And what a wonderful thing for Winston, Churchill, to remind me, whatever we do, remember the power of the children. It's important that what we do, the children and young people, as we have seen this morning, is actually in them. Otherwise we miss the main energy. In the Christian tradition, we have the Trinity. God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. This understanding of God speaks of togetherness and help us understand that as human beings made to reflect God's image, we are called to community. We are called to togetherness. And the image of Trinity and the image of togetherness is in the theology of the body of Christ. And center in all this is the book that I mentioned, Christ, the heart of creation. We saw the value of working together at the political level of COP23, the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Paris year 2015, where working together with others, Pacific Islanders found that they had voice and they were listened to. So as time goes on, I will summarize. The outcome of Paris is that togetherness in action. 2, it is a departure from the status quo. No one walks alone. It is on this togetherness is what I would like to bring as the message at the end. The word together is a vital word. On the Udoniano, during a storm which hit us mid-ocean, in the pitch darkness, with waves rushing on board and tossing us, I learned how important that we were together, but at the same time, each was in position on the ropes or the rudder in order to tack and move the outrigger through the angry waves. Each person and position was significant for the safety of all. And so, my friends, it's a traditional experience that we have seen ourselves, and in our own experience, celebrating the gift of our ancestors, we also grounded in the heart of the teaching of Jesus, I am the vine, you are the branches. We also celebrate Talanoa. We need to Talanoa, and I see that as what this conference is. Talanoa comprises two Oceanic words. The first, tala, is the word for sharing stories. The writer wrote that Louis Stevenson, who went to live in Samoa, became known as Tusitala, the teller of tales. Tala can also mean expressing something deep within oneself or telling the future. There is a huge value in telling stories. Stories help define where we are and help us to appreciate where others are. They help us set a compass. They ignite imagination. They help us move beyond horizons. The second part of the word talanoa is noa. Noa importantly means space. Talanoa is to tell stories within community which has space, which is open and receptive. It can be a respectful way by which voices are deeply heard. When there are crises and conflicts, when there are differences, the coming together of people for Talanoa may provide a way forward. To engage in Talanoa is to value different stories and different contexts. It is to be open to new perspectives and learn. Now I move to the conclusion. I leave the rest because we have sufficient. In the tragedies experienced in our planet, there is an unparalleled opportunity to unite and discover new paths and new ways of being human beings who honor the gifts of creation, the land and the mind. In this paper, I have attempted to honor the Moana, which in the scriptures is created by God in the dawn of creation. It is a gift which embraces us and so powerfully gives life to the planet. The oceans flowing one into another remind us our interconnectedness and call us to discover new ways of togetherness. Moana, in its rising, is at this time raising a prophetic voice against the abuse and pollution of our planet Earth. This prophetic voice we are compelled to act. And here now I turn and share with you a contribution before I finish. When I was working on this paper, there were two fundamental questions emerged. I have been in the church for quite a long time. I have been in the ministry for nearly 50 years. And what strikes me is when we are responding in the Pacific to any important event, we dance, we sing, we speak with passion, we act. And in doing that, if there are things in your pocket like money, the pocket also come out. And I was asking myself, why is it when we worship, when we talk as Christians, as Pacific people, we respond not in the dynamic spirit? And my question lies on the issue of our baptism. In our baptism we belong. The gift of God is there for us, and we belong. But we don't express that dynamically like the way how we receive customary and traditional gifts. My question is that, where do we go wrong? I come back, the teaching of the church needs to look at this. And Pacifica and our Fritikanga Church have started. We have taken the climate change and violence to be taught at the preschool, primary school, secondary school. Because at the university, you can do a PA or master's or PhD on those issues. It's lacking somewhere. And secondly, in Oceania, we speak in languages. It is Pentecostal. We are the only part of the world who speak nearly 1,000 of languages. But I stand here trying to read my paper in English. And many of the questions I've been raised, I only wish you know my language so that we talk in depth. I leave that to you, and let me now turn to the theme of the Utoniaro here this afternoon. Moana, Water of Life, is the theme of this conference. I have used the Moana as metaphor in this paper. I have used the metaphor of setting out with courage on an ocean voyage in order to ignite imagination and help us set out together to tackle the challenge of climate change and the threat of the life of the planet. In hymns, the metaphor of the ocean is sometimes used of the encompassing greatness of God. There is a well-loved hymn in common, which is a translation of a German hymn by Ernst Lang and also by John Wesley. Wesley was introduced it motivates and encountered in a storm during a voyage. The storm and hymn is well known. Eke of our Moana Lolo. In this hymn, Moana is a metaphor for the unfathomable depth of God's love and goodness. I put forward that the Moana, Water of Life, both in the appreciation and experience of its physical reality and in profound metaphor, has the potential to move us forward in the seeking of justice and peace for this shining blue planet. The incredible side of this hymn, it was made in Germany, refined in England, put into action in Ghana. How did they do it? They changed the verse 3 of this hymn to become verse 1. We academics, what do you call it? Copyright or changing the It tells us something about working together. It does not matter at the end. It's conveying and acting what it is what matters. 80 of our. Then I will invite our new Archbishop, Archbishop Tama, to lead us on this. And that's to demonstrate to the late John Hunt the fruit of his work. Little he knew, he returned today, singing the love of God. Thank you very much, Sarah.